Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Taylor, and the purpose of this video is to review the decision step of the 7-step Sandler sales process. You know by now that using this sales process puts you miles ahead of your competition. It increases your closing rates and makes you a lot more money. Now, to get us started, I'm going to ask you if you've ever had this frustrating scenario. You've identified your prospect's pain and he is emotionally involved. His company has the budget to pay for a solution. You then give him the perfect presentation and proposal. It contains everything he asks for. But when you try to close the sale, he surprises you with one of the following statements. "That was great. I just need to think about it for a few days. I'll get back to you." Or, "I have to pass this by my boss for approval." Or, "We won't be making the decision for several weeks once we get proposals from other suppliers." Wait a minute, what just happened? Everything had looked perfect. Your prospect had given you all the positive signals and he loved the presentation that you had designed to meet all his requirements. What did you miss? What you missed was locking down the decision step of the sales process. And as a result, you found out too late that maybe he never planned to say yes or no to your proposal, but rather was going to get competing bids. Or that he couldn't make the decision by himself. There were others involved that you didn't even know about, and so you never met them. Or that the decision wouldn't be made for several weeks or months, and therefore you had presented way too early. If any of this has ever happened to you, you're not alone. But think about how devastating and costly this has been for you. The good news is that from now on, you can make sure that it never happens again. And as a result, you will give the right proposals to the right people at the right time, and you will make more sales. The decision step is where you identify how your prospect makes their buying decision. You find out who will be involved, what they need to see or hear in the presentation in order to buy from you, and you'll get a commitment to a firm yes or no answer once you've presented. In some cases, the decision-making process will be very simple, made by a single person based on just one or two factors. In other cases, though, the process can be a lot more complex, involving several people, each with their own perspectives and differing degrees of influence on the decision. Your advantage is that once you get a full picture of their decision-making process, including an understanding of all the players and their interests, you can then craft a proposal that will meet their exact requirements. So just what is it that you need to find out in the decision step? Well, you need to cover the same elements that are included in a well-written newspaper story. Who, what, when, where, how, and why. Let's go through each of them briefly. Who is involved in the decision-making process? Who can influence the decision? What is the process involved? What are the specific steps? What does the prospect need to see, hear, or experience during the presentation? When does your prospect want or need to make the purchase? When will they actually make the decision? When are their implementation deadlines? Where in the organization is the decision made? At what level? How will intermediate and final decisions be made? How have they made similar decisions in the past? Why are the decisions made the way they are? Now, that was just a quick overview. So to give you more detail, I've attached supporting documents with this video that contain a more extensive list of the who, what, when, where, how, and why questions. Now, you need to remember to use your people skills as you go through this process. Make sure that you don't turn it into an interrogation. You can't just start firing a bunch of questions that make your prospect go not okay. You have to do it in a comfortable and conversational manner. For example, you might start the conversation with a nice open-ended question such as, "Gene, when your company makes a major purchase like the one that we've been discussing, what sort of decision process do they normally go through?" Or, "Bill, I'm curious, when it comes to making a decision about investing resources in the new equipment, how does your company go about it?" The answers you get in response to your initial questions will usually cover one or more of the 6 newspaper story elements. You should then continue to ask additional questions until these elements are thoroughly identified. For example, "Alex, you didn't mention who could veto the committee's decision. Who might that be?" Or, "Irene, I don't think you indicated just when the decision needs to be made. What is your time frame for making it?" I hope you're getting a sense of how comfortable you can make this for your prospect. Now, maybe this has never happened to you. You forgot to get an upfront commitment from your prospect that they would actually tell you yes or no at the end of your presentation. Because if they didn't agree to it in advance, they may not be prepared to actually make the decision at that time. Another way you might have been stung was when your prospect gave you a think it over response as a way of getting rid of you. They just didn't really feel comfortable saying no. So to make sure this doesn't happen to you, you might say something like this. Now, Bill, I appreciate the opportunity to make this proposal based on everything we've talked about. I've done my best to include all your requirements. Now, once I've finished with the presentation, will you be able to give me a yes or no answer depending upon whether it meets your criteria? Because I would hate to just get a think it over from you at that point. If the answer is no, I can handle it. And if the answer is yes, then we can move forward. But let's agree not to do a think it over. Are you okay with that? Now, what if Bill can't or won't commit to that? Then it means you've missed something in how his decision is made, so you need to dig deeper and address whatever issues are standing in the way. But when you do this, you'll be surprised at how it clears the way for a successful presentation, decision, and sale. So there you have it. That's the decision step. I congratulate you as you work to become more skilled and proficient in using the tools and techniques of the 7-step sales process. As you master these steps, you will be amazed at how much more enjoyable and profitable your career will be. Now go out and put these things to work. And remember, even while you're learning and making mistakes, the worst you do will still be the best they've ever seen. And you'll just keep getting better and better at it.